lot of, before it even came out, there was a lot of skepticism over the concept of Disney being able to work with Squaresoft, and I think people were pretty much just looking for reasons to complain, because it's not like Disney themselves was making the game. If they did, then I would have been scared too. I think it probably would have turned out to be a pretty bad game. Land Before Time Racing, anyone? They actually had a game on PlayStation Racing Before Time. So by December of 2002, well after the game had come out and become critically acclaimed and was pretty much the best-selling RPG of the year, I thought it was funny because all those same gaming magazines that dismissed it, and they said like, no, Kingdom Hearts is totally awesome. We didn't know what we were talking about. And computer is old. It's actually as old as Kingdom Hearts is. This, I don't know how well known it is, but what they originally had as an idea for Kingdom Hearts was that they wanted to, Disney was going to grant them their properties, and Squaresoft wanted to have Mickey Mouse as the main character, and Maleficent was going to be the final villain. And Disney was pretty much like, I don't know about that. We don't really want to give you our most famous character, because they weren't sure the game would be successful or anything like that. So they ended up adding a whole bunch of different characters, like Sora, who pretty much is Mickey Mouse when you think about it. And I wonder often if they were right about that. Would the game have been any better? Because it's not like Mickey Mouse without any original characters. It's not like Mickey Mouse had never been in video games before. So does that strike you as odd to anybody that they were suspicious about that?
I'm surprised they got as many characters in that game as they did.
Do you think the game would have worked better with just Mickey Mouse and other Disney properties rather than like maybe Final Fantasy cameos rather than original characters? That's what I mean.
I think having a human main character dressed like Mickey kind of gave a good mesh between DFF guys and Disney guys.
Actually, when you stop and think about it, I can't remember one really successful Mickey Mouse video game out there.
Oh. Well, there was Mickey Mania, and I thought Mickey's Mousecapade was pretty good.
What's that SNES one where?
Magical Quest?
That's it.
I thought that one was pretty darn good, too. So I think it was just a suspicion type thing. Okay, we're ready to begin now. Can you press the, focus on the screen first. Mickey's even in that picture. He's not exactly in the game very much, if at all, if I recall. And as my friends often tell me, final mix for this day, the cover just looks so much nicer than that.
It's a fantastic game.
Oh, you played the final mix?
Oh, God, yeah. I've done everything with it. I love it.
So why haven't they released it yet?
Because Americans are stupid and Japan is greedy, so there you go.
But it's kind of weird because they released their game, then we got our game, which was their game with extra features, and then they got Final Mix, which was our game with the extra features with more extra features. So you'd think they could get another round of selling out of it if they sold that game with the extra features, and added a couple more extra features, just for fun.
I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. I mean, the excuse I've always heard for the PS2 version was that it's not as import friendly. You know, you have to use swap magic and other things like that. But the PSP just makes no sense to me. I mean, the PSP is region free. They really should have
What, the
files.
BBS final mix?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I like to, I mean, I know the problem, they like to say, like, why release BBS final mix? Because BBS is selling well, but relative to the other ones, not as well, because people don't have a PSP. But I think that might convince them to. It's one of the reasons. And also, then you got the problem with people who think they're all just side stories and stuff like that, even though Birthplace is probably the best game since Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
And as I tried to show with some of the music there, it's just dramatic, and it's not like 358 where they kind of cut corners and just kept reusing the same music. They really did a good job, I think, with Birth by Sleep, and I want to show that music also. Like, has everybody here played Birth by Sleep, or is there some people who haven't? Pretty much everyone has. Anybody hasn't played it? Too bad. And this, I think, symbolizes why Kingdom Hearts is still getting so easy. It's like when Goofy tells him, it's like, you can't just sit there and be sad, you have to smile. And if you've seen the manga, it's even funnier in there, where they totally do the over-the-top expression. But, I always thought Kingdom Hearts, the way it started, despite the, what they wanted you to believe about the somewhat childish nature of it, the beginning is pretty darn dark and stuff like that, and this is probably one of the first moments in the intro where they try and say, like, oh, forget about your friends for now, we're going to go find them, everything's going to be good, and then he almost rejects it, like saying, I can't be happy even though I'm a really optimistic kid anyway. I think it might have been in Chain of Memories where I first started realizing, besides the intro, of course, the original Kingdom Hearts, I think that's where they really started saying, like, we have something special here. They were beyond the experimental stages, like, this is going to be popular, so we can try and, Tetsuya Nomura, specifically the game's director, that's really where I think he decided, let's go all out and we can really start throwing out an interesting story here. And I think it's cutscenes like this that really exemplify it.
You seem pretty intrigued by this Sora kid.
Are you telling me you're not Larkseed?
Haven't decided yet. I think what intrigues me more is what you've seen in him.
There was a time he became a Heartless, and if one becomes a Heartless...
They lose their minds and their feelings. They're consumed by the darkness.
Right, but not Sora. He held on to his feelings even as a Heartless. And there's only one other man who's been able to do just that.
Who's he talking about? Who?
Xehanort.
Yeah. So what is ultimately so special about Sora and Xehanort, do you guys think, that makes them, like, if you've read, you probably...
I personally think they're identical twin brothers.
The only thing I don't want him to be his father. I don't want him to have Xehanort to be Sora's father. I can understand they'll probably come up with an elaborate explanations, they want to do it that way, but it still will feel like lost narrative potential. It's like, you just think that we could write a better solution than that, and I really hope they don't end up doing it. But even though this was from the remake of this game, I remember when playing through Chain of Memories, which kind of a lot of people avoided because they didn't like the card system, they thought it was kind of that's really one of the reasons they didn't have a remake yet. But,
Yeah, but at least
they did make it
tolerable
easy,
that way.
like Ansem famously, was really pretty hard in the Game Boy Advance version. They made him a lot easier. He was difficult to beat once you had lots of hero cards. And the thing is, when I talked about storyline-wise, the thing that I think was really interesting about it was, it's not that the original Kingdom Hearts doesn't have a good storyline, it's kind of, the dialogue's not so great, maybe it's a whole experimental aspect in it. But scenes like these, and especially in the Game Boy Advance version, a lot of dialogue, seems to be really well written and stuff. Like they were going for that kind of stuff. Like even the way the organization members talk to each other, it really feels like this is a group that's like held together only by silliness. You know, like they don't really like each other very much. And if they weren't afraid of him, they couldn't do anything. They weren't ever even get together or get along very well. And I think that's why they really shortchanged their narrative potential when they killed most of them off in the second game, because I think he later said that he regretted doing that. Like, they were more complex characters and deserved better than the simplistic death they got in the second game. Hello. And that's probably one of the reasons why in Recoded in the upcoming game on the 3DS, Dream Drop Distance, can you help me with that? That's probably one of the reasons why they're having at least Zenith come back. They're like, we can do so much more with this character. Plus it makes me happy.
Well, as long as he makes you happy, that's all that matters.
Well, legitimately, I think he's an interesting character too. You know, like, again, back in Change
Well, they're not
Memories.
bringing him back as Zenith, though. That's the thing. They're
They
bringing him back
had,
as
in the
Zenith.
secret movie, they had Zane, or, you know, in Ansem's form.
Well,
and
yeah, they
had
were showing
Zenith.
the two different sides to show that now that one has been defeated, the other's been defeated, he's going to come back and say it.
You're right, it could all end up being like some kind of distraction or something, similar to the ending, similar to the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, which is first preview in the secret movie. You know, he says, I've been to see him, he looks just like you.
Yeah.
It's generally accepted now that that never happened. It was
Yeah.
either a dream. or
Well,
something
the I've been to see you, I think, refers to in the original final mix where, you know, there's an optional boss where Zenith goes and fights Sora at Hollow Bastard. That's what I think that was speaking of.
What?
Is this spoilers for like Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, there's tons of spoilers here. I said spoilers ahoy at the beginning. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
because I haven't played every Kingdom Hearts game, so I don't want to know anything.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of what we were just talking about, this, even though this version of the Final Mix was released in 2002, there really were no videos available until about 2003, 2004 of this battle, and they didn't have fan translations of it for quite a while. So it was interesting to, because you were just referring to it. When did you first play this battle? You said you have all the
is
Final
this-
Mixes, right?
I only have the first one, actually. I've
Okay,
seen
well,
videos or I've only got the second one. I've seen videos on the first one.
This
Yeah,
was
that's Because I had the option of either getting Final Mix 1 or 2, so I went to 2.
And because, you know, even though it was put on YouTube eventually, there are still people I'm surprised who have not seen this movie, because
Who are
people
you?
know of the Final Mixes, but, you know, they're kind of been pushed to the side.
Well, for me, it was the whole fact that you could battle all 13 members of the organization in the second Final Mix.
Because I first read the translations of this, and I remember seeing the fan art for this character known as the Unknown, or the Mysterious Figure, so they translated it from Japanese at first, so I thought, like, okay, they're definitely going for something tying to Kingdom Hearts 2.
What's that supposed to mean?
And it's funny how if you look out and back now, it's like, oh, there's all these boxes and everything else. Because it's accepted that this scene occurs most likely right after Sora first turns into a Heartless. And the instant he does, that's when Roxas shows up.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter is when Zenith finds him. So that's why the line he says, you look like him. And I think that's what he's referring to. Some people say they can even go back as far as Ventus, but I don't quite see this here. You know, I don't think they're meant to be hinting at Zenith. I mean, Ventus. Because even though Terra knew Ventus, he doesn't have his memory fully. And because of the armor, he seems to remember Aqua a lot more than he does Ventus. So I don't think this was ever meant to or put before Ventus. Not to mention this battle is really hard, so it's nice to see a boss that's trying to set up.
Well, every single member of Organization 13 in Final Mix makes Sephiroth look like a pansy, I'm sorry to say. In fact, Axel destroyed me before my man even showed up. And I'm not lying about that. He's got through.
That was hilarious.
I also like how this is the beginning of how Zenith constantly toys with Sora, like he won't tell him really that much. And he has a hole in his chest there briefly, like trying to distract him, and then just kind of like waves it off. It's like, you didn't hurt me. This is me.
What are you talking about?
You can tell this was recorded sometime between Kingdom Hearts
That's probably easier. The other thing, if you're really careful about it, all the dialogue that's actually spoken was taken from other moments in the game. So it shows you that it was kind of haphazardly paced together.
What are you?
Yeah, because he's never had any actual dialogue.
There's still some people who do not think this is Zemeckis, despite all his attacks and everything looking identical. He fights the same way in many of his battles in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Wait, if he's the same mysterious figure from Birth by Sleep,
Then we're all screwed.
We'll get into that, but as I was talking with someone yesterday, I really do not see the evidence
Yeah, now
to
the
the mysterious figure being Zemeckis. Plus, I think similar to what I was saying about his father, that would really be
The mysterious figure is his father, that's it.
a lack of narrative potential. I think they could come up with something more creative than that. It's like, oh, it's Zemeckis again. Time traveling or something in this case. Because, Birth by Sleep
Well, I
is 10
heard
years
in
before
interviews
this
that
movie.
after Dream Drop Distance and if it ends on Kingdom Hearts 3, that's going to be the end of the Xehanort saga entirely. So we'll finally get to move on past Xehanort.
I'm not playing this.
Boom.
I've heard that too, but at the same time he said, I think he had said specifically that's the end of him as the lead end. It's not like he mentioned it anymore.
So come back to optional bosses.
Probably.
That's what I like to say about Kingdom
Well,
Hearts.
Axel's coming back, I'm sure. I mean, the guy's unbeatable.
That's why Kingdom Hearts is also interesting to me because despite what Tetsuya Nomura says again, there's so much evidence, not to mention just that movie, that he does not have the whole storyline thought out ahead. He once famously said that he has the ending of Kingdom Hearts already. I don't believe it. Just because
He might, well, that I have issues with because he might have the ending, but it's the other stuff in between the beginning and the ending he may not have figured out.
I have heard it said that, the greatest writers, they write the storyline, they write the ending backwards, they write the ending first and then work on everything else.
Yep.
You can easily get yourself stuck like that, so it might not quite work. But that scene is also telling because the meaning of that scene, the unknown sadness, whatever you want to call them, has changed over the years. When it was first translated, everyone was pretty much recognizing, because they didn't know about the organization or anything else, that he was just there, like he says in the fight, to test his power and stuff like that. Then it was later changed because Roxas had just been created, and they had discovered by that time that Roxas too didn't really have much of a memory. So he was thinking like, oh, I might not be able to control this Keyblade wielder that well. So it's pretty, even though not everybody accepts it, what I believe now is that he came to fight Sora here to take some of his DNA. Like when he walks through him, much like Vexen did in Circle Chain of Memories in order to create the Riku replica, and I believe that's how he created Shion. And that's why he originally came here to fight Sora. It's like, that's what Zemeckis does. He's always thinking 2 steps ahead of everyone else, even when it looks like he's losing, he's really winning, because he's got tons of backup plans. Because as he says, throughout Kingdom Hearts, throughout 258, he was hoping that Roxas would work out, but Shion was created in case they weren't able to control him as well. And in the end, ultimately, Shion doesn't end up working out at all. So, in the split of the
Who's Shion?
What?
Who's Shion?
Oh yeah, that's right. She never
What's
existed.
this 358 thing? I don't think this ever happened.
She never had. It never happened. Speaking of what we were saying about Axel, the interesting part about that is I think they really shortchanged some of the narrative potential by having Sora and many of the other people in Chain of Memories forget everything that happened. But Axel didn't. At least I'm pretty sure.
The organization didn't forget, it was just Sora.
But in
And
Kingdom
everyone
Hearts
connected.
2, because they couldn't count on people playing Chain of Memories, they couldn't make any taunting references to it, which would have been funny, like when Axel goes Xemas, got it memorized, and then I wish he had made references to Chain of Memories, because he talks down to Sora a lot in that game too, and he obviously remembers what happened, so it's kind of too bad that he couldn't make references to